Russia's war on Ukraine rages on. Russia launched a barrage of ballistic missiles at Kyiv early this morning. While the Ukrainian Air Force said it shot down all of them, the falling debris from the interceptions damaged everything from a hospital to residential buildings. Kyiv's mayor says at least 53 people were injured. It is the third attack on Ukraine's capital in the past week. Today's bombing happened as Ukraine's president paid a visit to Norway. He met with the country's prime minister, who reiterated Norway's long-term support in its battle against Russia. President Zelensky's trip to Oslo comes ahead of a critical European Council meeting in Brussels tomorrow. Ukraine is trying to become a member of the European Union and is hoping to start formal negotiations on it. With his country's future on the line, President Zelensky met with President Biden and congressional leaders yesterday. He delivered an urgent plea for more aid for his fight with Russia. It comes as a deadlock exists in Congress, with Republicans demanding tougher immigration rules before approving any new aid. But President Biden still pledged U.S. support for Ukraine.
We'll continue to supply Ukraine with critical weapons and equipment as long as we can.
For more, I want to bring in Doug Klain now. He is a non-resident fellow at the Atlantic Council's Eurasia Center, where he focuses on Russia's war on Ukraine, authoritarianism in Russia, and Ukraine's democracy-building process. Doug, a shift in President Biden's language about keeping up support for Ukraine, quote, as long as we can. What does that tell you about the U.S. commitment to Ukraine?
Hi, thanks for having me. That shift from President Biden is an unfortunate recognition that right now Ukraine aid is stalled in Congress. It has sent a signal to Vladimir Putin and other strongmen around the world that maybe right now the United States is starting to lose its mettle. Maybe our will to stand with the Ukrainian people as they resist Russia's invasion is starting to break. That is what Vladimir Putin has been counting on. Thanks to U.S. support, the Ukrainians have been able to resist Russia's invasion and liberate the people that have been under occupation. But Putin's only hope for victory is if America backs down and turns its back on Ukraine.
Well, to that point, in clear terms, what happens to Ukraine if it does not get any more U.S. funding?
Well, in the immediate term, it's going to mean a much more difficult winter. As we introduced this segment, you shared the news about the horrific air raid on Kyiv last night. Now, thanks to American air defenses, the Ukrainians were able to shoot down all these missiles and drones that were attacking civilians. If those supplies of air defenses do not continue, that means that more Russian missiles and drones will hit apartment buildings, hospitals, schools. Ukrainian soldiers are already reporting that on the front lines, they're running out of ammunition. This is the best hope that Putin has if the support we have just declines and maybe backs down.
Ukraine's top military commander said last month that the war had reached a stalemate. Would you agree with that assessment?
Well, right now, there has been less movement on the front line. We put a lot of hope on this counteroffensive, but we didn't set up the Ukrainians for success. We were training them to fight like a Western military, but we didn't give them the tools that Western militaries rely on, especially air superiority. And we allowed the Russians to have time to dig in and defend and fortify the front line. That made it very difficult for Ukrainian soldiers to get through. They just didn't have the right tools to do it. Now, as we go into the winter, there's going to be a slowdown in fighting and things are going to be a bit more static. But the Ukrainians are going to be trying to prepare and figure out how they can make some kind of a breakthrough next year. Hopefully, there are lessons that have been learned from this counteroffensive.
And Doug, I just have a brief moment with you left, but how do you think the war between Ukraine and Russia will end?
Well, ultimately, it's going to end in Ukraine's victory. Russia is fighting to try to eradicate the Ukrainian people, and the Ukrainian people know that. They know that this is a fight for their very survival. There is no option to give up, to trade away land and people. Russia has made it very clear that it intends to keep on going until it conquers Ukraine. Just like in other places where a big military has been mired in a war like this, it can go on for a very long time and it can get very bloody. But the people that are fighting for survival, they've got something a whole lot more important to fight for. And that's where U.S. support comes in. What we can do is impact how quickly Ukraine wins. We can give them the tools to try to end this war sooner and liberate their people.
Doug Klain, thanks for your time.
Thank you.